Hi there, folks. Back again for another video. In this one, I thought I would talk a little bit more about the kind of hobby stuff that I've been working on, as well as a little bit of kind of where I am in terms of my mindset at the moment and what I'm thinking of doing next, both hobby and gaming-wise, I suppose. So a lot of people will have probably been seeing the progress I've been making on painting up more of my Beowulf style miniatures that came through from Medbury for their Kickstarter, which is now over. But I thought I would show some of the progress that's gone into those. So one of the sets that I really liked was the death of King Ongethiau, I think it was. So it was really awesome sort of Lord miniature, as you can see here. Looking very cool. I'm sorry for the status of my fingers, by the way, but I have been out in the garden. So you've got really badass miniatures that can be sort of assembled into a little sort of diorama. So you've got these two as well. So you've got this chap here who is Wulf. And I thought I'd go for a really awesome blue, light blue for them. I think that would look kind of nice. Very cool miniature, I think you'll agree. It was fun working on that. Also, one of the miniatures that I actually painted where I didn't glue the shield on straight away because there's so much detail that you get covered up. I mean, obviously it's now covered by the shield, but I think it actually turned out looking quite nice, to be honest. So yeah, so there's that. And we have his comrade in arms. So this has been designed effectively so that it's kind of these two battling against him and his death, which I think is pretty badass. And if you're looking for some cool character figures to use in your warband, then I think these ones have turned out quite nicely. So yeah, so you've got those two there, which is quite cool. And obviously the Lord character, as I was showing. But then one of the other sets that I really enjoyed looking at and wanted to paint up next was the Hrothgars with their Dane axes. So these are, I love this design of helmet and mail, I guess you'd say coif maybe, that's been designed. So yeah, really awesome looking warriors there with their Dane axes. So I got this chap that I painted up. We got this guy, similar in look and feel. Went with the blue so that they could kind of be linked in with these guys. And the same kind of colours have been chosen throughout. So you've got that light green, the yellow and the blue. But because I wanted to give these guys maybe a little bit more of a mercenary feel, I went for the green cloak. So it's kind of neutral, I suppose. But you can still see the blue and the yellow coming through on those guys. And I think it works quite nicely. Again, to just make them feel a little bit brighter, as people tend to paint the Dark Ages quite grim and horrible, and so I thought going for the brighter colours would be a really nice idea. And you can imagine that these folks have perhaps earned some money in far fields. And have I chipped the paint? I have. I have to fix that. So yeah, nice range of miniatures there. And here's like the Hrothgar leader, who I think was really cool. I could probably even have looked at painting his eyes, but I didn't do it in the end because I'm too nervous. But yeah, he's the sort of leader figure. So I've got the sort of heroes and I've got some Hrothgars. There's two more that I need to finish off. So I've got this guy here. So these are them once they've been base coasted and washed, and I just need to go back over and do the highlights and stuff on them. So it's not too arduous, and they get done pretty quickly, to be honest. And the sort of muddy basing then gets dry brushed over the top. So yeah, so I've got two more of them to finish. And then I thought I'd work on these. So these are kind of like your regular swordsmen, I suppose. You will have seen these in the little unboxing video that I did for the Kickstarter. But I've got a couple of them. So I've got 3 of them to do. 2 of them I've got separate swords that need clipping off and gluing on. And they've each got shields. I also wanted to just try out painting one of the casualties as well. So he's next on the block, as it were. So yeah, very cool. The other thing I wanted to talk about, obviously, is I was saying about sort of gaming and hobby side of things. So obviously, I need to stop saying obviously, to be honest, but I've been showing off these Beowulf miniatures, and they're going to be great for diving into playing Saga and all sorts of different other games like that. But there is something that also caught my eye. So a little while ago now, there was a range of miniatures that was done by Otherworld to match with this game book. So this is Beowulf Beastslayer. So, and it's even got a recommendation from Janina Ramirez, who is an awesome historian. So this is a choose your own adventure style game that is based on the Beowulf legend. So it follows its core ideas, but is there you go, really awesome character version for Beowulf. But it's a really interesting way of playing out the story of Beowulf in a different way, basically. And I think it's definitely worth having a look through. I've done a little bit of this and enjoyed a little bit of it, and it's fun seeing which direction things go. If you try and keep to the story path, or if you go off in a different direction, it's a classic choosing an adventure style affair, but with a few little tweaks and changes here and there. But this got me thinking about other sort of games that you could play based around Beowulf, and this then led me to the idea of thinking about sort of maybe a convention style game. So this game book, as you can see, has some really nice artwork, lovely stuff there. I can't remember who the illustrator was. There you go, Russ Nicholson. But his artwork then got turned into a series of miniatures by Otherworld. So here's my take on the Grendel from the cover there, which was really fun to work on. And I love doing like the green bile and stuff coming out of his mouth. I think that was pretty badass. And doing that kind of snowy landscape underneath his feet. So there's the Grendel, sorry. And here is my Beowulf that I painted based on the artwork that you just saw. And again, I was really proud of how he came together and the sort of final look of him. I definitely end up using him perhaps in Age of Heroes as my character, I think, which I looked at in a previous video. But this got me thinking about a game based around sort of Beowulf, Grendel, and the fight over Hrothgar's hall. So I had an interesting idea that I sort of tinkered around with and sort of had some fun with in terms of game mechanics. And I was thinking, what about if you did it as a kind of quick and easy game where you were trying to reduce the health of Grendel to, kill him basically, take him out of action. But the Grendel player, in sort of a little bit of asymmetry, is looking to kill as many of the men as possible in order to demoralize them or indeed kill Beowulf. Now, you'd obviously make it so that Beowulf was fairly hard to kill, and the same would be for Grendel, right? So my idea was that you'd have dice effectively assigned to each of the different characters on the tabletop. So Grendel, for example, would roll with a d20. Beowulf here would roll with a d12, which is the most heroic of dice. I don't care what anybody says. And then his men, regardless of what they were or what they were armed with, would all fight with maybe d8s or d10s, perhaps, whichever one felt the best. I'd have to try it out and see what it was like. And one of the interesting things I wanted to do so the basic mechanic is you roll the dice depending on who's attacking, who's defending, or whatever, and the higher value wins. Basically, it's meant to be like a quick and easy game. So, but obviously, as you can see from this, Grendel has more opportunity to do lots of damage to different characters because he's using a d20, whereas Beowulf has got a chance, obviously, but he's not quite as powerful as Grendel. And then all the men are more or less there as a kind of buffer to stop Beowulf from just getting hurt. to be honest, because they're his chosen men. They're his warriors that are going into battle with him to help defend Hrothgar's hall. So the aim of the game, as I say, is to reduce the health of Grendel to 0 and take him out. Beowulf can obviously be reduced to 0, and then there's obviously this set of his followers, his warriors, that will follow along behind him, and if a certain amount of them are taken out, then Grendel would win and sort of flees into the darkness. Now, talking about other sort of mechanics and things like that, Beowulf would be able to hurt Grendel. So in the story, Beowulf realizes that his arms and armor and stuff are no use, and so he fights Grendel in hand-to-hand combat. Right? His men will use their swords and Dane axes and spears or whatever, because they are not quite as wise as whole good King Beowulf. Well, not yet Beowulf, I suppose, but so they're not quite as wise, so they'll just be attacking him. So when Beowulf attacks Grendel, he can do damage to him and he can push him around, and the idea would be that the hall that you'd be playing in would be like a gridded hall, or maybe hexes, so you've got some really nice opportunities for pushing people in different directions. Talking of pushing, so Beowulf can harm Grendel, Grendel can harm Beowulf, but warriors, if they best Grendel in their attacks, can't hurt him because they're using their weapons, and their weapons are no use. Your swords are no use here. They can only push Grendel. So the idea is that you could get Grendel into a position where that you get bonus dice in order to hurt him. So your warriors are useful as both a resource and kind of like a life to show that, and your life points effectively show that you're going to win the game, but they're also in turn a resource that you can spend in order to get Grendel to a good position. So you don't want to just hold them back, because otherwise you're not going to get any benefits from having them around Beowulf. So my thought was that you could have something where you could, if depending on the number of warriors around Grendel at a given time, would give Beowulf extra d12s in order to roll in order to best the deadly creature. Now, I also thought that Beowulf could maybe have some of his own special rules and things like that, and I suppose we could go on to that next. So Beowulf's special rule would be like a really fun kind of Ray Winston-esque one, maybe just "I am Beowulf" or something like that. And if he does that, he gets to roll twice and pick the highest or something like that in order to attack Grendel, and that could be recharged maybe on like a d6 roll on a 6 or something like that. Grendel, I thought, based on sort of the movie and everything else as well, could have a throw ability, because obviously he's a mighty beast. So obviously if things were set up like this on the tabletop, Grendel could, instead of just attacking to take out this warrior, could elect to throw, and the throw would be in a forward direction based on maybe a d6 or something like that, and that's how far they would throw, and it would basically skittle affect all of the warriors in the way and could potentially take them out of action. I think that would be kind of cool. So it would be a little mini game that was very much based around the idea of maneuvering and stuff like that, in sort of a way to try and like best Grendel and get him out of the hall and things, which I thought would be kind of fun. So I kind of approached it from the idea of it being sort of like a convention game almost, and what I plan to do is to kind of write up these ideas into a project which I'll put over on tabletop.com, and when they're over there I'll put a link down into the community thing so you can have a look at it and see what you think. My idea was that you'd have a really kind of fun board, which would be like the base, maybe like an MDF base of like a mighty mead hall, and as I say, would either have hexes or squares baked into it that you'd fight over. Maybe just have like a printed map or something like that. But you could have things like terrain and all sorts of stuff in the way that could be thrown by Grendel and give cover and all that kind of thing as well. So yeah, just let me know what you think. That's the kind of thing that I've been sort of mulling over when it comes to the last week or so. I do have some fun ideas for future videos and things that I need to work on. My PC is still unfortunately dead, so I'm waiting for that to come back, but hopefully this has been a neat look at what I've been working on at the moment, and some ideas for a fun Beowulf style game that maybe I'll write up some little rules for and make them available as like a PDF or something. That'd be kind of cool. Or they'll just be over in the project system over on Tabletop. But yeah. Let me know what you think. Do you like the painting I've done on the miniatures? Do you like the idea of this kind of game using Beowulf and Grendel and all that kind of stuff? Do you think it would be fun? Do you have any ideas for where you'd take it if you were designing the rules, and what kind of special stuff you'd throw into the mix? As always, like, share, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Always nice to see. And I'll be back with another video very soon. Oh, and also thank you very, very much to the community here for getting me over that 2,000 subscribers mark. A winner has been picked. It was Goram from the community. They've been contacted and they will be getting their Tom Bombadil very soon. As I said in the community post, I will look to do some more competitions as we come towards milestones and the like. But for now, thank you very much. You don't need to do it either, but there is also a Ko-fi link down below. So if you do enjoy what I do, you can donate to help me out with cups of tea and hobby supplies and all sorts of different things by just giving a little bit of moolah my way. But the most important thing is that you get stuck into the comments and we have a conversation. So let me know what you think. Do you like the idea of this kind of mini game that I've set up? Do you think it could be fun at conventions? It could be fun drop in and drop out. Well, dive in and drop out kind of thing. Yeah. I'll be moving on to some different projects very soon. I have been looking at Sharp and also a little bit of Wild West stuff, so I may be coming back with a look at some books and some miniatures and some more in the near future as I expand my horizons into other historical games and historical periods that I've not really looked at before. But anyway, I will be back very soon with another video. In the meantime, thanks again, and I'll speak to you through the community tab and all that kind of good stuff, and in the comments below. Bye!